Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Everyone's face revealed an unfriendly expression. The reason why so many people died every day in the west of the city was because of various benefits. Now that they were going to redivide it, they would have to hand over the things that they had obtained with great difficulty. Moreover, this new division was proposed by the rookie mercenary group, so the plan was self-evident. They and the mercenary group that was friendly to them would definitely have great benefits. Hong Yi's expression also turned serious. I wonder how the profit division that Captain Yunxiao mentioned is going to be divided? Yunxiao smiled and said, "It's very simple. For example, the mercenary groups that didn't come today didn't need to exist. All of their benefits in the west of the city will be emptied out, so we can just split it up." This time, everyone was stunned. No one objected to this suggestion, and they were all very happy. Those who didn't come had quite a few powerful mercenary groups, and the benefits were extremely rich. Hong Yi was stunned. "That's it?" Yunxiao said, "Of course not, and everyone here. There are many cases where the distribution of benefits is unfair, so I think there's a need to redraw it." Everyone's heart trembled. When they heard that their interests were at stake, their expressions changed greatly. Especially those forces that had always been at odds with the rookie mercenary groups, they all had fierce gazes. Pa. The leader of the Pi mercenaries, Ouyang Zi, slammed the table and stood up. He said angrily, "You little brat, you want to redraw it? Who the hell are you? The benefits were all fought for by my brothers. How are we going to explain this to our brothers if you just decide to redivide it? Not bad. If they want to touch us for immediate benefits, they'll have to get young Emperor Hao Lian to come and talk to us personally." Those mercenary groups that were not on good terms with each other started to support him. "It seems that everyone is very excited," Yunxiao said with a smile. "You're Ouyang Zi, right? You manage 5 gambling houses and 3 brothels in the west of the city, and your Pi mercenary group only accepts some dangerous people. Including killing people, your annual profit is about 5 million mid-grade primordial stones, am I right?" So what if I do?" Ouyang Zi's face was twisted and he looked fierce. He had to muster his courage at this moment, or he would really be taken down by the other party. However, his heart was still beating like a drum. After all, the strength of the rookie mercenary group was too strong. Any one of the 8 teams could destroy him. "It's nothing," Yunxiao said with a smile. "You don't have to do these things anymore. I'll leave it to the Hunter Mercenary Corps." "What? Brat, you're nothing." Ouyang Zi roared in anger. "You want to hand it over just like that? You really think you're a big shot? These people were usually thugs who killed without blinking. Yunxiao was only a martial king, and he had long been an eyesore for being arrogant for so long. When he unleashed his strength as a 5-star martial emperor, he suppressed Yunxiao, and he could kill him at any time." Zhou Xiang's face flickered, and he released his aura to push back Ouyang Zi's pressure, so that Yunxiao would not be affected. "Don't be so excited, Mr. Ouyang," Yunxiao said with a smile. "We can talk about it later. This time, other than the division of benefits, we'll also have to set up some new rules." He waved his hand, and his subordinates immediately took out a dozen materials and began to distribute them to each person. Everyone only took one look and was burning with anger. The material they grabbed was almost burned, and all kinds of cold snorts kept ringing out. Everyone at the round table threw it on the table after a glance. Even Hong Yi's expression wasn't too good. Dark Cloud finally couldn't help but sneer, "Captain Yunxiao, you're really talented." The first rule was that the newbie mercenary group would be in charge of the west side of the city, and they would be in charge of all the mercenary groups and major affairs. "You newbie mercenaries are really going to be the kings of the Lightsong Forest." Yunxiao smiled as he stared at him coldly and said, "Mr. Wu, you're so excited and awesome. Does your Mr. Yu know you're so excited and awesome?" Upon hearing Mr. Yu's name, Black Cloud's face suddenly changed, turning purple and blue like a frosted eggplant. He gritted his teeth and sat back down. This made everyone even more uneasy. The only two mercenary groups that could compete with the rookie mercenary group were silent and kneeling. All of them were anxious. Why hadn't the Storm mercenary group sent anyone to cause trouble? A martial royal realm expert had knelt in the square for so long. Wasn't he embarrassed? Weren't they usually very powerful and always tried to get close to rookie mercenary groups? Captain Yunxiao, you're indeed young and promising. The west of the city had been in chaos for so many years, and it would take a long time to change. If you set the rules for no reason, his brothers would probably not be able to adapt. Do Commander Hao Lian and Commander Hai know about today's matter? The Frog Mercenary Group's leader, Jia Xiaobai, also opened his mouth. From the current situation, the Skeleton Mercenary Group seemed to have some hidden agenda and couldn't come out, and the Rainstorm Mercenary Group also didn't know what they were planning. Just relying on the Pi Mercenary Group's Ouyang Zi wasn't enough. Although he hadn't offended the Rookie Mercenary Group, he hadn't really won their favor either. He might not have a share in this cake if they redivided it. If he didn't say anything, it would be troublesome. Moreover, his intention was very obvious. He wanted to know if it was Yunxiao's own idea or the Rookie Mercenary Group's. Perhaps a big change was really coming. Yunxiao smiled and said, "You're right, Commander Jia." Just like them, they kneeled there to welcome the guests. At first, they were not used to it, but now they had gotten used to it. Getting used to this thing, it would be better after the first time. As for who is behind this meeting, you're all small fries, do you need to know so much? Savage. The unparalleled savagery and contempt made everyone's heart burst with fire. They were so angry that their bones cracked. This was an undisguised contempt for everyone. People wanted face, and trees wanted bark. No one could stand looking down on everyone in front of everyone. The noob mercenary group is indeed amazing. Jia Xiaobai was so angry that he laughed. He slammed the table, stood up, and walked out of the square. He snorted, "I'm very busy, I don't have time to play with you." Yunxiao looked at his back and said softly, "Stop them." Although his voice was soft, everyone who heard it felt their hearts skip a beat and became extremely nervous. Bin Jia frowned. He was also very puzzled by Yunxiao's behavior, but he still sighed and made his move. The rules of the newbie mercenary group were that orders were like mountains. The lower-level members could question or be angry, but they could not disobey. Jia Xiaobai had also been on guard. As soon as Yunxiao's words came out, he felt a strong wind coming from behind him. With a loud cry, he turned around and slashed down with the Overlord's steel saber. Clang. Bin Jie gently appeared in front of him, and two of his fingers easily pinched the blade. No matter how hard Jia Xiaobai tried, he was unable to shake it. Captain Bin. Your rookie mercenary group is going to become the public enemy of the entire Light Song Forest. Jia Xiaobai's face turned red as he roared. A few men rushed into the square from all sides, and all of them picked up their weapons. They stood beside Jia Xiaobai and surrounded Bin Jia. They were also members of Jia Xiaobai's mercenary group, and their cultivation levels were all martial emperors. No wonder Jia Xiaobai had the courage to sit directly at the round table. Bin Jia sighed and said, "Let's put down our weapons. Isn't it good to unify the gentle Song Forest? We don't have to scheme all day long. At least, there are unified rules in the city, so we don't have to worry about losing our lives at any time." Humph. Of course it's good to unify the forest, but can that kid do it? Jia Xiaobai said disdainfully. If Commander Hao Lian had succeeded in breaking through to the martial supreme realm and said these words to everyone, Jia Xiaobai would be the first to stand up and agree. However, he was only a martial king. Humph. I'm not convinced. Bin Jia also had the same thoughts. If he wanted to unify the west of the city and even the gentle Song Forest, it was impossible without the strength to make people submit. I thought it was a gathering of the mercenaries. It turns out that it's just a little kid messing around here. A sneer came from the sky, and soon a few figures appeared in the air. The leader of the group was Wu Wei of the Storm Mercenary Group. He had a sinister look on his face and a cold smile appeared on his face. Phew. It's finally here. All of the mercenary groups heaved a sigh of relief. Although the Rainstorm Mercenary Group was nothing, they seemed to have become their saviors. When they saw them, they were touched. Sir Wu. Ouyang Zi felt as if he had met his savior and was about to be excited beyond words. The aura on his body was even more monstrous, and he desperately pressed towards Zhou Xiang, wanting to show that he was working hard. Yunxiao looked up and leaned lazily on the chair as he chuckled and said, "Why don't you walk over from below? Are you afraid that you'll be embarrassed if you see our pretty man?" Wu Wei's expression changed and he became furious. He shouted at the people below, "Zhao Yu." He focused his voice into a line and directly struck down with the power of a Dao. He wanted to wake up the absent-minded members of the Storm Mercenary Group. This shout was so powerful that even the air could see the aftermath of it. It pushed back the surrounding air, and an invisible force faintly shook the sky. Pft. Pft. Not only did his shout not wake anyone up, but it also shattered the hearts of some of the weaker members of the Storm Mercenary Corps. They vomited blood and died on the spot, falling to the ground. Zhao Yu's 5 eyes were bleeding, but his turbid eyes opened at this moment, shooting out a bright light. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you." Zhao Yu shot up from the ground in an instant and rushed at Yunxiao, his body glowing brightly. The boundless humiliation had made him lose all ability to think, and the only obsession in his heart was to tear Yunxiao into pieces. No one dared to block the reckless outburst of a 6-stars martial emperor. Binjia hurriedly let go of Jia Xiaobai's overlord steel saber and was about to intercept. Suddenly, a murderous aura fell and frightened him. Wu Wei's cold face appeared in front of him, revealing a sneer. Both of them were 9-stars martial emperors, and there was not much difference in their strength. It was impossible for them to divert their attention to other things while restraining each other. Zhou Xiang, who was sitting at the round table, stood up with a serious look on his face. Zhao Yu had already beaten him by 1 star, and now that he was charging at him in a frenzy, he was not someone he could block. But at this moment, he could only brace himself and face it. "Get out of the way." Yunxiao's faint voice rang out. Zhou Xiang turned his head and was taken aback when he saw a sword slowly emerge in Yunxiao's right hand, its surface flickering with purple and green colors, and a vague dragon shape. What does he want to do? Not only Zhou Xiang, but everyone else was also confused. Was he going to do it himself? The illogical thought was immediately eliminated, but Yunxiao pushed Zhou Xiang away and went up to him, causing everyone to open their mouths and feel a little dumbfounded. This kid was really crazy. No wonder he would make such a nonsensical move today. Furthermore, he had already lost his mind to the point of no return. The power of a 5-stars martial king flashed around Yunxiao's body, while his opponent was, or rather, a 6-stars martial emperor, Lao Ai. He didn't expect this nonsensical farce to end like this. Everyone was a little stunned and could not recover from the shock, but they were still overjoyed, waiting for Yunxiao to be killed. Sword technique demon slaying. The purple Shadow Qing Sua sword was raised and a dragon roar reverberated through the entire square. A sword spirit? Everyone's eyes were wide open, and their faces were filled with horror. Under the attack, the shadow of a dragon roared out of the sword qi. That vivid expression and the way it bared its fangs and brandished its claws was definitely not a manifestation of sword qi, but a real sword spirit. Only profound armaments of the 8th tier and above could possibly give birth to a sword spirit. Boom. Zhao Yu's heavenly wind technique was completely devoured by the sword energy. The overbearing demon-slaying power rushed into every pore on his body without restraint, cutting his body. No. Zhao Yu roared in the air, unwilling to give up. His entire body suddenly collapsed and turned into dust. The entire square was eerily silent. Other than the cold wind blowing, there was no other sound. Except for Ding Ling and Yunxiao himself, everyone's brains short-circuited, and they could not think. The scene in front of them had completely overturned their common sense, so much so that it looked so unreal. Many of them rubbed their eyes, and rubbed their kasayas. Finally, they sucked in a breath of cold air and their faces turned as pale as paper. They felt cold all over. A 5-star martial king had killed a 6-star martial emperor with a single sword strike, leaving no corpse behind. This reality that they had to watch with their eyes wide open continuously attacked everyone's rationality. They were forced to accept this situation that was completely impossible. The one who was soaked in cold sweat was Ouyang Zi. He was very close to Yunxiao, and the pressure emitted by the sword qi just now had frightened him. When he thought of his arrogant look just now, he felt a chill run down his spine. If Zhou Xiang had not stood up to stop him, he would have been turned into ashes before Zhao Yu. The light from the Qing Sua's sword quickly dimmed after the strike, and it disappeared in a flash. Yunxiao's primordial qi was also greatly damaged, and he had also suffered a faint backlash from the profound artifact, which had caused him a lot of injuries. With his cultivation, the demon slayer he performed was at most at the level of a 3-star martial emperor. Even with the help of the demonic dragon, it was impossible for him to kill Zhao Yu with one strike. Under such circumstances, the maximum power of the 9th-tier profound armament could only be activated. The price was the backlash of the profound armament, killing 1,000 enemies and suffering 800 losses. However, in this situation, he had to kill the enemy in one strike to shock everyone. He revealed a look of pity and sighed, "There's one less beautiful man to welcome the guests." His eyes gradually turned cold as he looked at Wu Wei and the 4 members of the Storm Mercenary Group in the sky. He said in a cold voice, "Then I'll use you guys as substitutes." Dang. He waved his hand, and an ancient bell flew out and rang in the air. The sound of the bell was an indiscriminate attack that directly entered everyone's ears. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically, and they felt as if their blood and qi were about to be ejected. Those warriors with lower cultivation base were so shocked that their eardrums burst, and they began to wail with splitting headaches. At the same time, many martial artists rose into the air from all directions. They were all members of the rookie mercenary group, and they surrounded the 4 people in the sky. After the dynasty bell rang, it turned into a giant bell and headed toward the 4 people. Wu Wei only recovered from the shock of Zhao Yu's death after hearing the bell. He was both angry and anxious as he roared at the round table, "Dark Cloud, has your skeleton mercenary corps surrendered? Did they merge into the rookie mercenary group? You good for nothing, why aren't you attacking?" Dark Cloud's face turned red. He resisted the urge and turned his face away, pretending to be a bystander. He also did not understand why the higher-ups would give such an order to let the rookie mercenary group act arrogantly alone. If they were to really conquer the west of the city today, it would be extremely difficult to take it back in the future. Trash. Wu Wei cursed and shouted, "Today, my storm mercenary group will fight you to the death. Those who don't want to be slaves, get up and kill these bastards with me." His gaze swept across the entire scene, and the light in his eyes was abnormally sharp. All the mercenary group leaders were shocked, and they immediately understood what Wu Wei meant. If he did not make a move now, he would be the enemy of the Storm Mercenary Group. After today's matter, he would probably have a good ending. However, if he were to make a move, he would be going against the rookie mercenary group. Everyone was suddenly caught in a difficult situation. They were already forced to choose a side. If they chose the wrong side, they would be consigned to eternal damnation. Jia Xiaobai's face was also extremely ugly. He stood there with the Overlord's steel saber in his hand, not knowing what to do. Although they had left in anger, they didn't completely fall out with the rookie mercenary group. If it was the current battle team, it would really be a fight to the death. "Humph, Wu Wei, you're a 9-star martial emperor. How dare you force a battle team to die with you?" Bin Jia sneered. "Today, my rookie mercenary group is going to unify the western city. It's just in time to use your head as a sacrifice to our flag." Savage. That day, the 3 mercenary groups jointly set a rule that martial honors are not allowed to interfere in the battle in the west of the city, Wu Wei said angrily. "And who below the rank of a martial honor can suppress me?" He looked at the 4 people who were being besieged in the sky. They were slowly losing their strength, and his heart sank. Bin Jie couldn't do anything to him, but he couldn't do anything to the other party either. It was impossible for him to save them. The few people who came out this time, except for him, would probably be completely annihilated. He was secretly angry and resentful that he didn't bring more people out. The decision of the Board of Patriarchs was to bide their time and continue to observe, waiting for news from the Demon Plains. However, he couldn't help but be curious, so he brought a few people with him. He didn't expect to suffer such a big loss. Who can suppress you? What a joke, Bin Jie, why aren't you making a move? Let's go. Yunxiao cried out and cast a few incantation seals. The dynasty bell in the sky flew down and pressed down on Wu Wei. You're so arrogant just because you have some profound level weapons. Today, I'll let you know that a peak martial emperor is a chasm that you can't cross no matter what. Qi burst out from Wu Wei's body and he punched the dynasty bell with a powerful punch. Dang! The dynasty bell was struck and let out an ancient and grand sound. The light on his body dimmed greatly as he flew back to Yunxiao. Yunxiao's heart trembled, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood, but he forcibly suppressed it. The dynasty bell was also a profound level weapon that was connected to his mind. After being attacked, it would also affect his mind. Wu Wei's expression changed drastically. After his punch, the force of his punch was actually reflected back from the bell. Not only that, but there was also a powerful rhythm and fist force stacked on top of each other, constantly advancing in the air and reaching in front of him in an instant. What kind of profound level weapon is this? Animal. He hurriedly threw another punch to block the fist force and the sound wave, but the two forces stacked together far exceeded his own strength. Under the collision, the muscles on his arms were like waves, spreading to his body. It was the sound waves that were shaking his body, wantonly destroying his limbs and bones. At this moment, Bin Jie suddenly made his move. He held a golden token arrow in his hand, and he swatted it down as if he was swatting a fly. Feather token. Wu Wei was shocked. He forcefully suppressed the sound waves that were wreaking havoc in his body and hurriedly took out a white stick. After unsealing it, it transformed into the shape of a ferocious beast in the air and pounced towards Bin Jie. Bang! When the golden arrow landed on the beast, a powerful air current burst out and pushed it back. Wu Wei was hit by a huge impact and was sent flying into the air. The veins on his arms were bulging, and he could faintly feel the pain. He was shocked and looked at Yunxiao in horror. He felt a lingering fear when he thought of the power emanating from the bell. He was originally on par with Bin Jie, but now that he had been injured by Dynasty Bell and Bin Jie's sneak attack, he had suffered some internal injuries. With the arrangement of rookie mercenary group, he was completely at a disadvantage. Yunxiao did not feel good either. The backlash from the purple shadow sword and the dynasty bell had damaged his body, mind, and soul, and his face was a little pale. Wu Wei's 4 followers were quickly captured and their knees were broken. They were forced to kneel at the edge of the square to welcome the guests. You guys are ruthless. This is the prelude to an all-out war. Wu Wei roared in anger, just you wait. Just you wait for the Storm Mercenary Group's full revenge. I don't know about a full revenge, Yunxiao said coldly. But at least you won't be able to see it. Do you really think you can make me stay? Wu Wei laughed. His laughter suddenly stopped as he saw a huge rock falling towards him like a meteorite. The demonic qi that was emitted from the rock was shocking, and it was not any weaker than his. A martial emperor realm demonic beast. Wu Wei's face finally changed.